Welcome, Alexander and Peter here. It's quite late in the day in Helsinki, but we're still continuing interviewing people from different networks. And they're from Network 12, which I think was Information and Library Sciences.
Yes, our name is Library and Information Science Network.
Yes.
And our name, 1 year ago, we had a slightly other name, which was Library and Information Centers in Educational Research, which is a bit long for the name of the network.
So what's the central themes? What's the central themes that your network picks up?
Should I start?
Yeah.
Somehow it is about information infrastructures for educational research and information services, which is, of course, and as we are called information sciences, it is very obvious that we are a little bit strange in a European Association for Educational Research. And we are, of course, a little bit vertical to all the other networks, and that's one of our problems, because there are not so very many links, obviously, for members of other networks to come to our sessions. And in spite of that, it is our task to get into communication, because you can only do very good information infrastructures for educational researchers when they are part of the process of designing them. So we need the communication, and that's why we try to start cross-network sessions, which we did from time to time. And we are not so very happy about the organizational structure of the ECER conference, which is very much in columns of networks, and everyone who is involved in a big network has no time to look around, especially not in the direction of information infrastructure.
We're hoping that these videos will be precisely a step towards overcoming that, so people understand more about what networks like yours do. So you'd be looking at information scientists, information systems to support teacher training, or information systems to support vocational education and training and issues like that, presumably.
Of course. It is, our information services are also directed, I must say, to educational practice, for instance, teacher training. But in the focus is, of course, educational research, the databases we provide, the internet portals we provide, everything, or even now it is on the agenda to build virtual research environments, which is a very complex task. And it is obvious, one country where this has been done very often, mostly now, where most projects run is UK. And the evaluation of this project shows it is very essential that the research groups are in the process from the beginning of designing and developing such research environments. And so this is one thing that shows how urgent it is that we get into communication with researchers.
And I suppose one of the issues would be that as soon as you start talking about virtual research environments, those don't necessarily respect national boundaries. National boundaries are not there. So Peter, what have you presented at this conference? Have you presented any sessions?
No, I didn't present any sessions. I chaired one session. Yeah.
And what was that session about?
Yeah, as every year we make an overview of recent developments in educational research in certain European countries, and we had 5 presentations from various countries showing us
new developments.
New developments. Yeah.
Well, I suppose that is an issue, isn't it, Alex? Your area is developing extremely fast.
Of
What are the new developments? How do you think virtual research centres? Can you tell us a little bit more about what those are?
The developments are more and more publications and more facts of research are available digitally now. And this gives us a chance to work together through long distances, internationally, interdisciplinary, very much easier than before, because we can communicate virtually with each other. If the objects and the thoughts and everything, what is every outcome of research is available digital, and that's now the case somehow. But even though we do not all dispose of the technologies and the designs, I always take this word, design, because it's not only ICT that's behind this, it's also how can it be easier to communicate about research, to exchange research results, and to collaboratively work on results by ICT support. This is a question of design.
And that design question, once more, I suppose, leads back to the problem. The design question needs that collaboration between different researchers in different disciplines together with information scientists.
Yes.
So I suppose, putting your own issue back to you, how can you get that? How can we build that sort of collaboration?
A good starting point is that we get into contact with international, if possible, multidisciplinary research projects which are starting in the future. When we know about this very early, we can do proposals for funding that we support their work by virtual environments, which will be developed parallel to the research process. And that would be the best chance to do this. And it is very hard for everyone, both sides, to come together, and an association like ERA would be a very suitable place, because both of us are there to initiate such a project.
I suppose another question is, I've worked on some European projects which are combining the use of technology with education. Most of the people I've worked with are computer scientists. Do you see yourself as having a slightly different discipline in information scientists to computer science in general? Is there a specific thing to the discipline of using this for research? Or not?
I would say it is a difference. It is necessary that disciplinary researchers, information specialists, and ICT people work together, because normally the information specialists are not able to do programming or something like that. So you need all together.
And then we need a language we can all talk to each other in. And that's one of the problems I have.
Which one will it be?
Well, we all talk English, but I'm not sure that the communication I have with computer scientists is always the same English.
Yes, that's true. That's one of the problems, that you have to translate the requirements of research into the shape of information services, and then if we know what our requirements of information infrastructures are, we have to ask the ICT people whether they can do this.
Build it, yes.
Yeah, without, this is the process, and it's
a challenge. But that is a design process that you're talking about now. So we're sort of talking about a whole design idea emerging, which requires collaboration, communication, multidisciplinarity, co-building, co-testing. It's a big challenge.
That's true, yeah.
And where would you see your network going in the future? Where would you hope your network goes in the future?
Today we had the the situation that someone from another network will be a continuous member of our network. That was also a starting point. In the beginning, we had, for instance, Sabine Manning from BetNet and some others. Yeah? But as ECER has grown a bigger and bigger conference, and every network does so many presentations, this is getting difficult more and more. And some people show up in our network for once, okay, we are happy with that. But as you have seen from what we said, a continuous exchange would be necessary. We have a lot of thematic areas, for instance, information retrieval and so on, where we can talk about in our inner circle. But we always need this feedback, or we look for this feedback. If this is okay what we are doing there, does it meet really the requirements? And we can't answer that by ourselves. And then the question of the different languages. We also addressed this in many presentations today. One topic is ICT literacy, information literacy, not ICT literacy, information literacy. That means, do we really reach with our services the people, and are they able to use them, that they have something better than before? That's
so there is maybe education and learning involved.
It's all interaction.
Yeah. It's very complex. It's very complex. And what the meaning of digital literacies may be, or information literacies in the future. What about information overload? Is that becoming a problem for researchers?
That's a question which researchers should answer. I would say yes. On the other hand, I think researchers have found their own means to cope with that. They only take what they can consume, and everything else is beyond. That's why they don't need many of our services, because we could. That's really true. So many researchers say, I do know my colleagues, and I do know what they publish and what they do. I don't need any other information anymore. This is only understandable because it's the information overload. But on the other hand, if we do this work very good and very correctly,
we could filter in.
We could filter this in a way that consuming or working with this additional information would spare a lot of time.
Oh, yes.
Someone else does things which we don't need to repeat. And that's the easiest way, that you don't need to repeat something.
Well, I didn't know that this network existed, I have to admit. And many of the ideas in this interview strike a chord with me, who have used data and know something about the design of it. So I'm hopeful through this video that people are going to discover Network 12, and I'm hopeful perhaps that we can start developing, that some of you who watch this video will say, yes, I'd be interested in contributing, and get in touch with Network 12 and see if we can start developing the sort of collaboration we all need, and are going to need even more in the future in this important field of work. Thank you both very much for coming in late in the evening after I know it's been a long day, and we're all going to a reception in City Hall later. Thank you very much for that interview.
Thank you.